Well, a lot of you have been thinking it, so I'll just say it. Yes, I have been going to the gym. And I got a very expensive gym membership. It's the most I've ever paid for a gym membership, but you have to invest in yourself. I think someone tweeted that. And so I go into the gym to check it out, and the woman's showing me around. She goes, first floor is all weights, second floor is cardio equipment, third floor is yoga studios and a steam room. And then she told me the price. And I go, which floor do you go to declare bankruptcy? Because I'm probably gonna have to do that at some point. And like a good salesperson, she pivoted. She goes, what's your fitness goal? I go, for this much money, it's Thor. I would like to be half man, half God. I would like to have a hammer that I also use as a weapon. So I do a one-day trial, and I'm in the steam room trying to sweat out some of my poverty. And I start talking to a guy in the steam room. We're having a great conversation. And at the end of the conversation, he goes, I'm gay. And I go, that's cool, man. I am a straight. Then he goes, I can flip you. And then I go, I think we have different fitness goals. Mine is to be Thor. I'm looking to be Thor. But you guys are really putting me in a good mood. I got some bad news today. I found out my favorite Italian restaurant is closing, Chuck E. Cheese. And guys, Charles Edward Cheese has decided to close his doors. I like the Chuck E. Cheese business model. They opened up, they're like, look, we have rats. Now, we could call an exterminator, but that's gonna cost a lot. What do you say we just lean into this thing? Let's get a rat, let's make him our spokesperson. Get him on stage, get him in a band, get him cranking out some hits. Charles Edward Cheese. That's his Christian name, Charles Edward Cheese. Somebody actually wrote me an email that said, it's Charles Entertainment Cheese. That's what the E stands for. I'm just letting you know. I'm like, wow, you have a lot of time on your hands, man. You're correcting for the love of Charles Edward Cheese. It's funny when you argue with somebody, I'm like, no, it's Edward. Edward is this crazy. He's like, no, it's Charles Entertainment, look it up. And I go, I did. And it's Edward. Just I had a roommate for years and years, and I loved him, but he's on drugs. And we're hanging out one night, and he goes, do you like the Grateful Dead? I go, no. He goes, well, have you ever seen them live? I go, why would I see them live if I don't like any of their songs? He's like, you gotta see them live, dude, you gotta see them live. I'm like, why? Because you get trashed and you go see them live? I would rather drop acid and go to Chuck E. Cheese. Have you ever seen that band live? You haven't lived till you see a rat rip a guitar solo, okay? I'm talking Charles Edward Cheese. I'm Italian-American and I live in New York, and one of my passions, stand-up comedy's my job, but one of my passions before the dark times was to go from city to city around this great country and tell people in these different cities that they have terrible pizza. It's awesome, guys. And it weirdly hurts people's feelings. And I can work it into any conversation. I was in Baltimore, I'm coming down in an elevator, I'm talking to this woman, she goes, oh, you live in New York City? How did you enjoy our aquarium? I'm like, lady, I don't know anything about your aquarium, but your pizza is terrible. She goes, what's wrong with it? And that gives you a pathway to insult their entire town. I'm like, first of all, miss, in order to have good pizza, you need good water. You guys don't have it. And maybe you're using all of your good water in your aquarium, but you're not using it in your pizza. Because it sucks. Your toppings are bad. Do you have any Italians in this town who could make a pizza? Anyone who could read a recipe? Do you have anyone in this town who could read? Do you guys have schools? It's a new thing sweeping the country called schools. Then I'll compare the town negatively to another town close by. I'll go, look, I was just in Cleveland. That's not great pizza, but it's not this dog crap. It's pretty fun, guys. You guys are a great crowd because you're getting my jokes, you know? A lot of people don't get my jokes. Not a lot, some. You know, some crowds don't get it. And if there's a joke in everyday life, I'll make it. You know who does not appreciate my unique sense of humor? Chinese customs. Because I went to China before the dark times. And they were like, why are you coming to China? And I was like, to feel tall? No, I ended up in a work camp for quite some time. I dropped my phone in the toilet in China, and that's actually the best place to drop your phone in the toilet, you know, because of all the rice. But I wouldn't put it in white rice, I put it in brown rice because of my commitment to diversity. Diversity, guys, that's the name of the game in show business now. My manager calls me up. He's like, Mike, is there anything in your background that could give us some much needed diversity? I go, well, I'm 100% Italian. Does that help? He goes, actually, that hurts us a lot. So if you could not mention that again, that would be a big help. Then he's like, what about what's going on inside of you? Is there any diversity there? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, with your feelings. Like, sometimes do you feel like a woman that is trapped inside of a man's body? Because that's a story we could tell. I'm like, no, that's not really happening. But I was born C-section. So I was a man who was trapped inside of a woman's body. I don't know if that counts. I don't know if that makes... Am I a hero? Am I a hero? Anyway, I got my phone working in China again. And my Chinese tour guide was like, Mike, how are you enjoying China? I'm like, it's pretty good, but your pizza is terrible. And I was like, you know who has a pretty good slice? Korea. It's not great, but it's not this dog crap. Fine, guys, what's my immigration policy? Is that what you want to know? 90-day fiance. I say, if you want to come to this country, that's fine, but you have to marry one of our worst people. Have you seen that show? I would rather go back to El Salvador and fight MS-13 than to marry Darcy from Connecticut. I'm pro-immigrant. I came from immigrants, you know. But I notice in New York, the immigrants from the small countries, Eastern Bloc, Central America, they yell into their phones. They're always yelling. Yelling is toxic and problematic. I don't know if you guys know that or not. It's no longer ethnic. But they're yelling into their phones, and I can't help but think, that's probably why you were asked to leave your country. Country is so small and you're yelling, the cops were probably like, you need to go to a bigger land, more suited to your voice inflection. But I think we're good people in this country. I think it's a lot of good people, you know? It's, I think the problem, the big divide in this country is that we're all looking at the same thing from different perspectives. It's perspective. For example, I'm a huge boxing fan. I love all kinds of boxing. And I was watching this one fight. It was a female fighter, and her brother was the promoter. And they were interviewing her, and they're like, how did you start fighting? And it's a tragic story. She goes, when I was young, I watched my father hit my mother. I was too weak to do anything about it, so I learned to fight, and it never happened again. I'm like, wow, that's pretty powerful. Then I thought, but the brother, the promoter, grew up in the same home. So he must have saw the same thing and thought to himself, I can sell tickets to this.